to Sagionic 1027, which is offered by Be the Vessel Now and Be the Force Now. I'm very excited. The purpose of our program is how to, I was going to interview different professionals in different fields. And then how do we tap into their brain? How do we see the steps that they walked out to become successful in their industry or the line of work that they either chose to be in or organically were tossed over there, whatever it may be. But ultimately, the desire is how to help people to go from here, paper notes, to making it an actual reality. So say, for instance, this painting behind me, it was done by my blood brother. I have one blood brother, and you don't create something like this the first time. This is something that he played with the movement of different mediums in paint, whether it was acrylic or that's all I know. I know there's more names, and this is not acrylic, it's something else. So to kind of work with different things. Remember when we were kids and some of us like to make tree houses? Someone always tried to make a better tree house the next time, right? But you didn't become a master off of the first one. And so I would like everybody to keep in mind that if a passion or a desire has been placed inside of you, there's a saying that says, wave the coals into flame. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to stir up different giftings, talents, and abilities that are already inside of people. Now, to our guest. Today, my guest is Gabe Tzeo.
It's okay.
I tried to say
It's Gabe Tzeo, but
Tzeo. Gabe Tzeo. Okay, I wanted to say it correctly because it's Tzeo. Tzeo. So Gabe
hmm
Tzeo. I met Gabe a couple of years ago, and I actually kept his business card on my desk for 3 years.
it's actually my old one. But
Yes, yeah, but I still kept it. Nonetheless, I kept it, and I
hmm
would always look at it, and I would smile, and some people would say, thought good thoughts or whatever, but in my brain, I just prayed and asked that he would continue to be blessed in his industry. So Gabe, how would you like to share with people, about, stuff that led up to where you are today, different, just kind of take us back, you're not 15. So why don't you take us back 20 years, just kind of take us back 20 years
oh
to
goodness,
see how, different
20
movement.
years.
Yeah, different movement that took place in your life.
Well, that 20 years, I was pretty young.
Okay.
uh, well, um, it's hard to go that far, but
Okay,
let's
don't go
go
back.
about 10.
Great. Go back
Is
as
that
far as you
okay?
want to go. Okay.
Because that's like very young. I'm
Okay.
not that old.
Okay.
um, so let's. So about 10 years ago, started my journey on becoming a photographer.
Okay.
And anybody can pick up a camera. Everybody has access to a camera called your phone.
Okay.
But what a photographer does is learning how to capture certain things in certain ways to captivate the other person.
Okay.
You know, but you could just take a photo. You know, to 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 remember that moment.
Okay.
But there's other ways to capture that moment that always will bring you back in a more unique way instead of, oh, I just took a photo, you know? So in photography, you get to learn concepts
Okay.
and how to capture that.
Okay.
Or framing or composition is another thing.
Okay.
But before you get there, um, you have to break down what your emotion is,
Okay.
because about 10 years, a little longer, a little more than that, I was struggling with depression and anxiety, and I did not know how to get out of that.
Mm.
But most creative people go through a depression or anxiety, or both,
Mm-hmm.
because they just don't know how to get out of that situation that that kind of holds you back from a lot of things, from from getting your goals done or making steps to get certain things accomplished in your life, but you always feel like something is holding you back, and then you get sad, and then you get very discouraged, and you don't want to do it again, or you don't want to do it ever. But there was something inside of me that kept saying, pick up your camera. And so I happened to have a Canon Rebel T5, which is a very basic DSLR
Okay.
camera. And
For those that don't
and
know, what is DSLR? For those that may not know.
the DSLR is digital. My brain don't work right
Okay, okay.
now. So
Well,
let
no, no,
me,
no, wait. I
yeah,
want to pause for a second because you said
yeah,
something that's very profound, and you said emotions,
yes.
capturing emotions. So I remember hearing once that Dr. Caroline Leaf said that
Hmm.
in our brains, the only memories that are stored are those that are encapsulated around an emotion,
Hmm.
and it goes
Hmm.
into our brain and sets there. Okay, so
Hmm.
if something, like you said, something was inside of you that made you drawn to pick up the camera, right? So I heard it
Hmm.
once said that if you were doing what you were created to do, that is when you're most happy, right? So
Hmm.
if there's something like
Hmm.
stuck inside of you that you know you need to be doing, but you don't quite know the steps to get it out, probably everybody could raise
Hmm.
their hands and say, yes, I've been depressed, yes, I've been discouraged, yes, I've been Debbie.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because then it helps people
Yeah,
to identify that if they're discouraged because they don't know how to move forward. So now
correct.
transition us into that forward movement that you walked in.
Hmm. Hmm. But before I say that, so if
Okay.
anybody watching does know the acronym DSLR, go ahead and comment it. Or I can do it later after the live,
That's good.
where we're done with the
Yes,
interview.
yes. Do it afterwards. That'd be amazing. Thank you for staying on point.
Yeah, yeah, no problem.
Okay.
And then, so that in a place of launching,
Okay.
it was picking up the camera and actually going out
Okay.
and just experimenting with settings and finding what I say to anybody that wants to be mentored as a photographer is finding your voice in your photography.
Okay.
And finding your voice in your photography is putting your, for if you could think about it, you putting your handprint onto what you made. So your signature, like um, like traditional portraiture is done with oil paint,
Okay.
and and the way that they draw the person or paint the person, at the end they will have a signature, and the only people know are the ones that truly know who they are. So in photography, it's almost the same thing. Like a lot of people put watermarks on their photos. I think it's a little tacky, but I understand why. I understand why they put that on there, because in this time, in this world, there's good and evil. People like to steal people's work because they
Uh,
don't want to
ah,
tarry. They don't want to tarry through and try to find themselves in their work.
got
But
you.
after, as I picked up the camera and as I kept going, I started capturing creation.
Okay.
And I don't know if any of you listening know a creator named God, but those were the things that I was inspired to capture, like the plants of the earth, the mountain, the hills, the sky, the stars, anything that you can see be captured.
Okay.
But the other thing on the other side of capturing what is seen is capturing what is unseen.
That's
And
so true.
the way to do that is you have to look beyond what the subject is you're trying to capture.
So almost
So
like so almost like a sixth sense,
almost
right?
yes.
A sixth sense, or or like, you know, a lot of times you hear women have intuition, right?
Hmm.
So seeing the, you know, so potentially when you're capturing, I don't want to call a human an object, but an object, right? A person, you're not just capturing that person, but you were
Hmm.
intuitively tuned in to
Hmm.
um potentially inner turmoil that has happened in somebody,
Hmm.
you know, or whatnot.
Hmm.
Correct?
Hmm.
And one thing I
Yeah.
really valued about looking at your different subjects and the different people that you
Hmm.
capture is that you
Hmm.
also captured a caption to explain what
Hmm.
it was, like to your each session that you have is like a masterpiece in and
Hmm.
of itself.
Yes.
Go
Yes.
ahead.
So, so what that leads into, if you're a good photographer, is storytelling. Telling a
Mm.
story through what you captured.
Okay.
So if I did not put a caption, what will come to your mind
Mm.
if it's just a photo?
Mm. Mm.
So
That's
that's
good.
that's always in the back of uh, any good photographer's mind is how can I tell the story? So if I was capturing a family or something
Okay.
like that, how can I capture unity within family and also the chaos behind it? You know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's like really deep.
You think?
And uh
Yeah.
a lot of people just like, oh, that's a great photo. I was like, yes, it is a great photo, but what's past the photo?
Ah.
Yeah, it's just the
Yeah.
same thing if you read a book.
Okay.
If you read a book, the author like shares everything. But if you're able to, if you read it again, you will always find something you've never seen before the first time.
That's
What an
true.
author wants to do is open your imagination through the help of what they have wrote. Yeah. And I have a friend, she is an author and she's been writing this Christian fantasy revelation book.
Okay.
She just came out with the second volume of it.
Okay.
And it's all about revelation,
Oh,
the
so
book of Revelation. Yes.
are you giving Sean a commercial that potentially she may be another person we'll interview with her second
Maybe.
book?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I mean, there's so many creatives out there that want to share, but they are afraid because they're like, what if people don't like it? But I'm always like, if you don't show it, how do you know people like it or not?
Yeah. And would you say
And
this
yeah.
brings up a really good point right now.
Mhm.
And that is that would you say Okay, say for instance for me, you can't ask me to go out in
Mm-hmm.
public and not talk to strangers
Mm-hmm.
because that would be asking me to
Mm-hmm.
breathe, right? So when you're a creative, if
Mm-hmm.
you are not functioning in your creative
Mm-hmm.
realm, it's like saying don't breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that? Would you
Mm-hmm.
liken it to that?
Yes and no,
Okay.
because the yes part is I agree to
Okay.
what you're saying,
Okay.
and then the no part is there's a thing called creative burnout, and
Mm.
what that is when the creator goes into a place that they feel like they've been creating something over and over and over again they're not happy about anymore.
Okay.
And what happens is there's two things. You either take a rest, which I don't recommend because you'll never go back. because because I took a break from doing wedding photography and then for many years I have not gone back
Okay.
until recently when one of my friends asked me to second shoot for their wedding. And
Okay.
that brought back like, oh, that's why I loved capturing weddings. Anyways,
Okay.
the
Okay.
second thing is doing something that's outside of the box
Okay.
from what you're used to.
Okay.
So, for example, if I'm used to just taking headshots, and I'm
Okay.
like, oh, I love taking headshots. They're just so cool, and all these things. I've been doing it for years and years and years, over and over and over and over again. But somewhere in there, you're gonna be like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Okay.
This is boring. This is not cool no more. And but what happens is, if you get to that point, you want to kind of like do something else or add it in.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So from headshots to like, let's try some fashion in there or something, and that will add what you learned from the fashion editorial for photography can be incorporated with headshots now to make it a
And
little bit different.
so, and you know what I find really interesting is that okay, so there's another saying that says, he who refreshes others will he himself be refreshed, right? So
Hmm.
for me, just coming into contact with you, for
Hmm.
others hearing what it is that you're sharing today, it's almost like it's going to be in the forefront of somebody's mind. Hey, I know a
Hmm.
photographer named Gabe. You know,
Hmm.
he was just interviewed, right? So
Hmm.
having you on the forefront of my mind, my husband and I, my amazing Steve, we were out in the field yesterday, and we actually needed to get lunch on the fly, right?
Huh?
And so he likes one style of food and I like another. So he put me over there. Well, this young man walks in, and I am just like, oh my gosh, it'd be so good for Gabe to photograph him, right? And I'm trying not to look, right? This young man's with his mom. You know, mind you, my
Uh-huh.
oldest is 35 and my youngest is 26,
Uh-huh.
right? And I'm trying not to look, but it's hard because I'm looking at the shape of his cheeks, I'm looking at his nose,
Uh-huh.
I'm looking at the hair, and I'm like, oh
Uh-huh.
Lord, right? I'm looking, and so then I was like, okay, what am I going to do here, right? So I took my business card and I
Oh.
said, and I went up to the mom. He was with his
Uh-huh.
mom. I could go to the mom and say, check this out. Da 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 da. I'm going to be interviewing my friend. My page is open to the public. I showed her my Facebook page, right? So if you get in, if
Uh-huh.
that's your first client, you get out of this. I said, I'm sorry. You probably felt me
It's
checking
all
you
good.
out. I was checking you out for my friend.
Oh dear.
So I may need a stack of business cards.
Yes, I mean I can give you some. I have a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So now carry on.
Yeah. So getting out of that place is always something that you always want to try to figure out how to get out of.
Okay.
Because if you can't, then you basically, I hate saying this, but you're gonna kill your passion,
Okay. Break that
which is
down.
sad.
Break that down some more for viewers
Yeah.
who don't know what it's
Yeah.
like to keep stepping over hurdles.
Uh,
Now, could you could you give
uh,
could you give us
I'm
some
like, I'm
examples? Could you
like,
give us some
I'm like
examples,
right
Gabe?
now I'm in that place right now, which is good. Um, you know, and sometimes it feels easy in certain
Okay.
times,
Okay.
and then you keep going, and something like a wall like comes up, and you're like,
Okay.
why is there a wall? I'm like progressing, I am going, all these things, and then a wall comes up, and you're like,
Okay.
what do I do now? Climb over it.
Yes. So what are you really saying, that the walls that have come up over the years, you refuse to allow
Hmm.
them to be the obstacle that made you think, huh, maybe
Right.
I'm not supposed to do
Hmm.
this. Lie, lie, lie.
Yes. 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 And this can be applied to anyone. It's
Okay.
not just like creative.
Yeah, yeah.
Is whatever you want to do, you have to remind yourself that something is always going to be against you.
Okay.
But if you learn about current, if you learn about current, if you're
Okay.
mathematic people, Ohm's
Okay.
law. I'm not going to explain too much about it, but
Okay.
just look at Ohm's law, and
Okay.
that will help you with your faith.
Okay.
Because when something good rises, there's always going to be resistance.
Yes.
And then with resistance, you keep pushing against the resistance, and you rise, and you rise, and you
Mm,
rise, and you
mm,
rise. And
mm,
that
mm,
resistance keeps pushing, but you want to rise. The thing
mm,
is, it's called grit.
mm,
Your willingness to continue, even through your blood, sweat, and tears,
mm-hmm.
will yield what you've been longing for, and also the dream that you have had will come to reality.
That is so good, Gabe. That is so good. My actual first interview was with Abraham Carlos, that I'm going to redo
Hmm.
because it did not have
Hmm.
the professional image that I wanted, right?
Uh-huh.
But when I asked him, could you please tell us about the naysayers, or those who tried to snuff out your passion, right? And
Hmm.
if you could do it, could you do it without telling us names? Could you like give us an example? And he said to me, "Oh no, I could say names." And I thought, "Oh
Uh-huh.
gosh, Lord," because I'm, like, "Oh gosh, please don't name drop. Please don't bring negative on the set, right?" But that was just
Uh-huh.
me and my naturalness, right?
Right.
And he
Yeah.
said, "Oh no, because the only person that could stop me is me."
Correct.
And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is great."
Hmm.
So for you, coming up against different oppositions, move us past that.
Hmm. So with opposition, the thing is you cannot do things alone.
True that.
That's I always anybody that I mentor, I always remind them, surround yourself with a council of saints. And what that means is people that are willing to encourage you,
Okay.
set aside time to listen, and somebody that's able to tell you the truth, and then somebody that is able to like really be by your side and do all three things too. And then the last person is somebody that you look up to that is about 10 years older.
Okay.
Because those people around you will help you overcome those hurdles or resistance or walls that come up or mountains.
Okay.
And that's the only way that I was able to get out of certain things, is because I had amazing people in my life. And I always tell people, you need to have more than one mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, I probably have like 3 dozen out
Mm.
there from all
Mm.
over the country and internationally.
Mm.
And I reach out at least once a month or multiple
Okay.
times a month. If I'm actually going through something really difficult, then
Okay.
I will reach out. And then and in house, I have those 5 people that I just talked about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So would you say that a very strong component to success would be a willingness to put yourself in a humble position to
Yes.
receive outside advice or angles?
Hmm. Hmm.
I love it.
Uh-huh.
I
That's,
love it.
it's not it's not an easy thing, but once you learn to just let it out, let it go, comes so much easier. Life is so much easier. And so that you're not like, oh, I'm all alone and complain about whatever it is that you're going through.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no reason and there's no room um to be in that place of complaining, or I don't feel like this is a thing for me no more, or whatever. Whatever that comes to your mind,
Yeah,
there's no
yeah,
room, and there's no space for that.
yeah,
And
yeah.
because you are called and created to do something more than just sit in an office,
Mm,
work for somebody,
mm,
and or something that you just do again and again and again and again and again and again. You know?
mm. Well,
Yeah.
that's pretty beautiful that you would share that.
Hmm.
Because the thought that just came to me is I remember 7 years ago.
Hmm.
I had owned a house cleaning service because I needed a way to provide
Hmm.
for my children. There was a segment of my life that I was a
Hmm.
single mom with 3 kids, and the Lord gave me the idea to. Well, somebody said to me, "You should start a cleaning service," right? And so it registered in my brain all the times my mom had me clean growing up, and so I just thought, okay, right. But there came a point, which was 7 years ago, and I said I was at a party with some what I'll call colleagues, and I had said in my mind, I don't want to be the girl on the floor anymore. I don't want to be the woman in the showers anymore. I don't want to be the woman on my hands and knees anymore.
Hmm.
I don't want to be that anymore.
Hmm.
And 2 years after that
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
when my world changed. But I remember getting to that point, like you said, burnout, right?
Hmm.
But up until that point, I loved it because I was loved. I was loved.
Hmm. Hmm.
The women loved me because I was Sister White Glove, right?
Hmm.
But the time came where it was like, nope, this doesn't do that for me anymore. And I remember down to the very last employee coming to work for me,
Hmm.
I still poured, and it was the best. It was the I saw it as a mentorship program, right? I'm going to mentor these young women because
Hmm. Hmm.
just predominantly women came to work for me. I'm going to mentor them, I'm going to push them, I'm going to
Yeah.
pour love over them, and then they would go on their way. And the last one
Hmm.
that came, I could not have asked for a better person to mentor.
Hmm.
So the transition was important too, to
Hmm.
realize,
Hmm.
okay, we're not doing this anymore.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
okay, so share with us, okay, if you were to aside from talking to the people, okay, talking
Hmm.
to the different people that you classified as mentors, right, or
Hmm.
stacks of your tribe around you, okay,
Hmm.
can you break down, um give us an example of when you're like you were ready to throw your camera out the sunroof, right? You
Yeah.
were,
Yeah.
give us an example, and then how did you, pick yourself back up to say, oh, I could do this. Give us an
Mm.
example, because there's people out there that are struggling right now. For goodness sakes, we just went through some special years, right? So
Hmm.
give us
Hmm.
examples, or of different ways, by partnering with what I call the creative realm, right? On
Hmm.
how like something manifested itself before you because you
Hmm.
chose to dust yourself up and pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Give us an example.
Hmm. Hmm. Actually, something really recent,
Okay.
like a year ago.
Okay.
I almost uh, just gave up just everything that I worked
Okay.
for 10 years, because my photography market is always fluctuating,
Okay.
and you have to there's like I mean there's like a I could talk about photography business, but I'm not gonna do that right now.
Okay.
But there's like comes a point when you're not making nothing,
Okay.
and you're like, well, I really feel like I'm supposed to do this, and I am not even making enough to pay bills or my your essential things you want
Yeah.
to do or need done. Can't do that or whatever. Um, but I was very close to um, um, leaving that job as a full time photographer and then going back into the corporate world.
Okay.
And but something inside of me kept telling me to keep going. I didn't want it because I was like, this is hard. Trying all the things. I've done all the marketing, social
Okay.
media, word of mouth, all the things you're supposed to do correct. All the things. Just like like the last week you were like, yeah, I have everything all set up. And everything should be set up. I should only need to click one button, and then something happened, huh?
And
And
down
so
we
basically,
went.
sick, like literally, it's just like that. Like
Okay.
something went off. Something was off. Like you
Okay.
did everything correct, but
Yes.
something went off.
Yes.
So instead of being negative about it, I pulled enough strength to get out of I'm just gonna not do this anymore and do the thing that I used to do before,
Okay. Okay.
which was miserable, but it made you money. Like, all these things.
Yes.
But the thing is, like, you have to go back when you're creative. It's
Okay.
not just about the money. The
Okay.
money will come. The money will come. I'm just saying. But it's not just about that. It's bring your brain back to what made you happy about that.
Hmm.
And that's the
Hmm.
one thing that will make you be successful.
Okay.
And so me realizing that again, and now you get to share the story. And
Yeah.
as you share your story, people want to invest in you because they see that in themselves, but they just can't do it anymore. But they want to invest in you. And about 2 years ago, a woman from this place called Salem House of Prayer,
Okay.
um, and she came up to me. It's like, hey, can we meet for coffee? And I'm
Okay.
like, okay, cool. And so I thought it was just gonna be a normal meeting, all these things, and then so she started telling her father's story. Her father just passed away, and she
Oh.
started sharing how her father loved photography and was a professional photographer for the military. Uh, and I was like, that's so cool. And getting to capture history, wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
That's what he got to do. And so she got left the inheritance. And so she felt led by the Holy Spirit to invest in my business.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm not going to say how much or anything like that, but
No, no, no.
she
That's private.
invested
But you
the
said
inheritance. And can
oh.
I expand with inheritance really quick? So hold your thought.
Yes, but my thought is you mentioned I
Like,
want you to expand on
yeah,
you said Holy
yeah.
Spirit. For those who don't
Hmm.
know that
Hmm.
terminology, could you break that down, then jump
Yeah.
to inheritance? Because this is important. They
Yes.
both are going to be tied
Yes.
together. Okay.
Yes,
So
they
you
are.
said you were led through the Holy Spirit. Can you break that down?
uh, Okay. So, well, the Holy Spirit is God, and God
Okay.
is three has three things. There's three things in God. So, who is the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit? And that's one person,
Okay.
and it's called the Trinity. And the Father, of course, is a father because we are children, and then the Son is the Son to the Father. And so the Son is the example of who we should be. And then
Mm-hmm.
the Holy Spirit is the wisdom and guidance that's inside of us. Yeah, that's just a simple term. I can get deeper about it
That's really
about each
good.
one.
That's really good. And
Yeah,
before you go on to inheritance, I'm going to
yeah,
share. So the
yeah.
word Sagion means wisdom carrier.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wisdom carrier.
Mm-hmm.
So I am
Mm-hmm.
interviewing wisdom carriers, right? Is Sagion,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but Sagionic is movement by movement
By
and
movement. Mm-hmm.
so wisdom carriers that are moving through time.
Mm-hmm.
So now go to inheritance.
Mm-hmm. Inheritance is it's not like, oh, it's a lump sum of money or estates, assets, or anything like that. But inheritance is what is set aside
Ah,
for you. And the thing that is set aside can also be called holy or consecrated.
huh.
Holy and consecrated almost go together. And I feel like it's like holy. Oh my goodness, it's holy.
Okay.
you know?
Okay.
But I'm
Okay.
like, but holy is very simple. It's something that is set aside for a purpose, a special purpose.
Huh.
And that's what inheritance is. It is something that has been thought about and cared about and has so much in it that is set aside for a person to receive in a later time.
Huh.
We can also say it as prayer.
Huh. Wow, you're breaking this. Now I've walked with King Jesus since 1984, and you're breaking stuff down like on professor level to Sister Sean over here.
That's what happens when you kind of go in a realm a lot.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, and then um yeah, so that's like a simple way. I mean, it was kind of a little long answer to what
No, no, no,
inheritance is, but
no. This is good.
it has to be said so that people don't just put a value to inheritance,
Got
but
you.
there is
Got you.
it's a special purpose that somebody really thought about and set aside for you.
Mm.
And that's the same thing about photography. It's like you
Mm.
capture, you hire the person that has the eye and the feeling and the emotion and the way they can hear and all the things I can keep saying about senses,
Mm.
but they're trained for many years on doing that so they can capture inheritance to be given.
Mm. Mm.
So if you want to receive a bigger inheritance, you invest in that creative so that you will receive your inheritance.
Huh. It's almost like it's almost like it makes me think of there's a parable in the Bible
Mm-hmm.
that talks about
Mm-hmm.
talents, right?
Mm-hmm.
It talks about that's what this conversation reminds me of, the talents. Did you
Mm-hmm.
hide the talent or did you use the talent?
You.
I'm going to throw in Sean's layman term, right? Did you use the
Uh-huh.
talent to feed others, to nourish others, to
Uh-huh.
sow to others,
Uh-huh.
right? To encourage
Uh-huh.
others,
Uh-huh.
right? Did
Yeah.
you use your talents to encourage others?
Mm.
And because that is taking your being. So for you, one
Mm-hmm.
thing I'm telling you, people, go on his Facebook page and look. It is like you are looking at masterpieces of art, and how he's depicted the different characters and objects, and like it made me want to become a photographer. That is how
That's the goal.
intriguing. No, I'm telling you, your page just it's a masterpiece. It truly
Hmm.
is a masterpiece to see what your eye has been able to capture.
Hmm. Yeah.
So this is good. This is
Hmm.
really good. Thank you.
Yeah.
So what else? What we got about another 15 minutes, okay?
Okay.
And so I want you to take us in a direction that
Hmm.
just be you. Take us
Uh-huh.
in a direction of just being you. Go ahead.
Hmm. Uh, s- the something came to me, and then I left. So you
It'll
said
come back.
for me
It'll
to be
come back.
me.
Come back. Come back.
So this is me sometimes.
Okay. Okay.
um, but something that we could talk about
Okay.
would be like, it's not just about a photo,
Okay.
but it's about what the photographer can give a person,
Okay.
not just a photo.
Okay.
A lot of people say like, take a picture, it'll last longer, you know.
Okay.
But the photo is the gift that is given, and which also can cause um, a miracle to happen.
Huh.
Because some people struggle with identity, some people struggle with insecurity, some people struggle with I am not photogenic,
Huh. Huh.
and I'm like, you haven't worked with me yet,
Yes. Yes.
and you know how many I can tell you this a testimony really quick. Um, I have this friend that just opened up a hair salon,
Okay.
and they wanted to do some creative business photos.
Okay.
You can just go get headshots done, and that's all cool and fun, and it's all cool. But she wanted to do something different that's not like every other person out there.
Okay. Okay.
So I was like, you know what? You pick your outfits so you can be you. So I don't need to stress
Okay.
out if that you're gonna like the clothes I pick out or not.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, and so we prepare. We get to the day of the shoot, and she's not feeling it. She's like, I
Um,
don't feel beautiful. I don't feel all these things. And I'm like, we're gonna do the shoot if you like it or not. Not
yeah.
because not because you paid me to do this, but we're gonna get you out of here. We're
That's
gonna
right.
deliver you out of this
Yeah.
lie. And so as we do the in salon shoot, um, she just starts to lay down all of the insecurity and all the identity issues that are coming against her on that day.
Huh.
And at the end, I asked her, how did you feel about the shoot? She's like, I feel a lot better. So
Oh.
that's part one of the testimony. Part two is when she received the
Oh.
photos.
Oh. Gosh.
And then when she received the photo, she calls me crying
Oh.
and said, and the whole conversation. But in a nutshell, basically what was said to me is I've never seen myself in this way as beautiful
Oh.
as you captured me.
Oh. And that's what I see in your photos. Your photos are like every I'm gonna start looking at people. I'm telling you, Sister Sean's going to be giving you some clients and then some, right? And what you're saying is so important because watch this. Over here on my wall, okay, I have or my Facebook page, I have a family photo
Uh-huh.
of my stack of my crew, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and it cost me a pretty penny for that and other
Yes.
photos that are throughout my house. But you know what? I saw it as an heirloom. I literally
Yes.
saw it as an heirloom because it captured that space and time where our family
Mm-hmm.
was in that space of time. And you can never change time.
Mm-hmm.
You can't change time, right? You can't go
Amen.
back and recreate history. History is what history was, right? History is
Mm-hmm.
what history was. You can't go back and recreate it.
Mm-hmm.
But my picture over here and the pictures I have throughout the house and the pictures that went other directions, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was worth the cha-ching that I paid for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And shortly after that, that particular photographer went on, she had burnt out in that industry
Mm-hmm.
and she
Mm-hmm.
stepped into a whole nother different industry.
Mm.
But I cherish that. I cherish it. They
Mm-hmm.
are so valuable, even for women or men, that
Mm-hmm.
whatever,
Mm-hmm.
to just spend the money to have that, to be able to see yourself through a different lens
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
of your natural masculinity, your natural beauty, your natural
Mm-hmm.
softness, your rough edge,
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. And I
Wow.
am very blessed to get to work with so many walks of life,
Yeah.
from petite to plus,
Yeah.
um, and all the in between.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, that is it's been amazing, and also like it challenges the photographer to learn how to work with different types of people, different shapes, different minds, and how can you capture what's in their mind and place it in front of them.
That's right. That's right. Because it is all about the angle, right? That
Mm-hmm.
you're not
Yes.
gonna, Sister Sean has she can go 16 hours a day electrifying energy, but with that comes Sister Sean has a little bit of love handles, right?
Uh,
Well, you're not gonna come and take a picture directly next to
uh-huh.
the love handle and hone in on
Right.
that, right? You're
Uh-huh.
gonna
Uh-huh.
capture the beauty of a person.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that goes into posing. And
Yes.
and posing is so important, I think, because if a photographer doesn't know how to do or direct a shoot, your client or your model is not, or your subject, um, will not feel confident with
Huh.
you and what you're gonna do and all these things, and it's gonna be a horrible experience.
Uh-huh.
So even before you start working with people, if there's a photographer that is thinking about going to portraiture and
Okay.
stuff,
Okay.
um, I recommend you learn or go shadow or find a posing coach and learn how to pose people before you start working with people. Because I had to learn the hard way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So and and it gives a better experience for the person on the other side of the camera.
Okay, so this is
Yeah.
good. So if you think of customer
Mhm.
relations, right?
Mhm.
Potentially in your life before photography, you were placed in
Mhm.
situations where you learned, yay, customer
Yeah.
relations, right?
I know. I used to be
So
in customer service.
yes, so okay, so would you say that there is nothing for naught? Is there saying some kind of saying like that? Nothing for naught. I think there's some kind of saying
And
that
mhm.
has to do with that. That you know, it's kind of like woven throughout your life, a pattern,
Mhm. Mhm.
and it's like, and then you see the similar line that was thread throughout the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So probably you weren't just a sloppy whatever, but you
Mm-hmm.
were. I've even heard people use that terrible terminology, which I
Mm-hmm.
disassociate with, and that
Mm-hmm.
is OCD. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I disassociate with that because
Mm-hmm.
being meticulous
Mm-hmm.
enabled me to make stacks of money for 19 and a half years
Mm-hmm.
by being meticulous, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
also being in tune to another
Mm-hmm.
person's eye or desire. So share
Mm-hmm.
a little bit about that and how that was woven into, like, nothing for naught. What you did over here actually helped
Mm-hmm.
you to become
Mm-hmm.
successful over here.
Mm-hmm. It's really trying to get to know who you're working with,
Okay.
and don't like be so vulnerable
Yeah.
in those meetings. But try to keep be professional,
Okay.
but also not so closed off, I
Got
would
you.
say,
Got you.
so that they're willing to share enough information so that you can all that you will so that you can have a successful shoot.
Okay. Okay.
And that and saying that, what it might look like is you can start by asking questions, but I don't
Okay.
really ask questions. Um, how I do it is um, I basically ask them to tell me their story
Mm.
and like what they and through that they through that I will get enough information to propose something when I respond.
Mm.
Because if you were for it's easier for a couple to tell you their story because they're like, oh, we met here and this and what it led into, and then
Mm-hmm.
somehow you're doing their engagement shoot now. So
Mm.
and then from if for example if it's like a company, um, like a commercial company that needs a photographer and videographer
Okay.
to do some work for them for a commercial. Uh, so what it can look like is because since they are a name already, you'll do your research
Okay.
before going into that meeting so that
Okay.
you have questions.
Okay.
And then as you ask questions, they will tell you their story. So there's that route.
Okay.
And then or it could be like a young man or a young woman that needs photos done, like for example, senior photos, which
Okay.
is like the most um, sought out uh, job out there right now because everybody's doing senior photos, so everybody's trying to like, oh,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
kind of one up each other, I would say,
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
their senior photos,
Yeah.
and so in those consultations, um, I always ask the question of when is your deadline,
Okay.
and what would you like in a theme
Okay.
for your shoot, and then the rest of that they let me do because they don't know where locations are.
Okay.
And they're lucky because I've shot everywhere in Salem. I've shot everywhere, mostly in Portland too.
Okay.
And and then people have lived in their city for so long that they don't even know where certain things are, which is so interesting.
Mm.
And I get to learn that and learn that about them, and I get to bring them to a new place, and they're like, "This is what I've been looking for, but I could not find."
Mm.
It's
That
just
is
like the song,
great. Yes,
yeah.
that is great because that shows um that shows on your behalf that you're not trying to put someone into a closed in box
Hmm.
or in a certain type of studio. But
Hmm.
and so it's interesting Okay, let's go back with what you shared earlier. You
Mm-hmm.
shared that you started with creation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because in creation, you likened it to God, that God was the
Mm-hmm.
creator of creation, right? And so that's how
Mm-hmm.
you were in touch or in tune with God,
Right.
so to speak, what you
Right.
said. But
Mm-hmm.
probably before you knew what was in you, in creation, you were already exploring the different terrains that you would turn around and put your clients into.
Right. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the story is like I
Yeah,
started in nature and then going into the urban city to capture the city and I went everywhere. And now I have a whole book of different locations that people can use for their photos. And I'm not just looking for portrait clients, all
yeah,
these
yeah,
things. But the thing is like what I w- what I really want to do to help people out there is to help them further their idea.
that's right.
Whether it's a business or it's just a simple like I just want to show people this thing I made, you know.
Yes, yes. And that's good.
Hmm.
Where we've got about a minute and a half left.
Hmm.
Okay. So if somebody was interested in getting a hold of you, what would
Hmm.
be your preference in them reaching out to you?
My number one is
Okay.
email,
Okay.
and then the second is you could go to my website and do the contact
Okay.
form there. And
Okay.
then the last thing is social media. So on Facebook or Instagram, you can
Okay.
message me,
Okay.
and
And so I
so
will put
that's
those,
those are the
I'll
ways.
put those in the comments
Hmm.
when we're done with this broadcast.
Hmm.
And so what give us an example of, like, okay, how far are you willing to travel? Because I'm geographically located in Tigard. I know
Hmm.
people all over Oregon, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But so if somebody said, hey, I'm in Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
Is that something you would be
Hmm.
willing, do you have a certain like distance that
Hmm.
you would or would not travel to?
Hmm.
I know that I
Uh,
spoke to you, and you've even
uh
gone down into Hollywood to shoot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm willing to go all over,
Okay.
just as long you're to able to spend the extra to
That's
get me
right.
there.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah.
I'm just so grateful, and the irony of it is the unnamed person that you mentioned. I
Hmm.
was on a phone call with that person pertaining
Hmm.
to the passing of the person, and
Hmm.
the person dropped your name, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" In my mind, I was like, "Are you kidding me? I have his name right there, right there in my office." And I was so excited. And
Oh
I'm
wow.
really looking forward um, to viewing your
Uh-huh.
portfolio as time moves
Yeah.
forward, because people
Uh-huh.
are going to get excited. So
Yes.
we thank you. So if you are a business that is in the, anywhere in the world, if you're a business and you would
Hmm.
like Sagionic 1027 to interview you, reach out to me. I can be reached out here on social media. I'm not savvy about my email is connected to my page as well. I'm not really savvy about the Instagram and all that other kind of Twitch switch, whatever stuff is called, but I'm okay with that.
Hmm.
So but just reach out to me and let me know, and then we'll set up an appointment to see if Sagionic 1027 is a platform that we can interview you on, to be able to get your business, your name brand out there, whatever it may be. And so thank you once again, Gabe, for coming on today.
Yeah.
And for all of our viewers, we will be doing this live Monday through Thursday at 4:30 p.m. And I
Yeah.
would just like to say, may the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon thee. Blessings. Bye.
Bye. Bye.